Today we are going to start learning how to use one of the most powerful tools you will ever learn for solving problems in chemistry and in many other science classes. So first we need to look at a really deceptively simple concept called multiplying by 1. So you might think, okay, yeah, multiplying by 1, that's pretty simple. So I do want to start off really simply and make sure that we're all operating using the same set of rules. So let's just say for a minute that I had a red square. And I'm going to take this red square and I'm going to multiply it by 1. And if you have done this before, or if you can remember this rule, anything multiplied by 1 is just the thing itself. One thing that makes it really easy for me to understand this and to sort of internalize this is if I use the phrase taken 1 time. So if I take one red square taken 1 time, I get 1 red square, right? And similarly, let's just say I had 2 green circles and I'm going to take those 2 green circles 1 time. So the answer is very simple. It's just 2 green circles, right? So hopefully so far we are on the same page. Okay, now let's look at another really simple concept, dividing something by itself. So again, let's start with a really simple example. Let's just take one gold star, and let's say that we're going to divide this gold star by itself. So if you remember your math rules, you'll know that dividing anything by itself gives you the number 1. One thing that I do to remind myself of this rule is I will just make sure that I cross out whatever is up on the numerator and the denominator, or on the top and the bottom of the dividing line or of my fraction. And when I mark it out, it makes a 1, right? And to make that even more clear, I can even erase the rest of it, and it just makes a 1. And so really when you divide things by themselves, it just gets rid of them. It leaves you with just the number 1. And so let's just make sure that we have this clear. So let's do another really simple one. Let's say that I have, let's do something a little bit more complex this time. Let's say that I have a blue hexagon and a green circle divided by a blue hexagon and a green circle. So when we look at our blue hexagon and our green circle, we can see that we can just cross out both of them. And what we should be left with is equal to just a 1. Be careful here that you don't think to yourself, oh, maybe it's equal to 11 or maybe it's equal to 2. No, you really are just getting rid of everything. So you're getting rid of the blue hexagon, you're getting rid of the green circle. They're just no longer there. The only thing you're left with is the number 1. Okay? Let's look at this example again and see some other things that we can do with this. So the other thing that we can do, let's just say that I have our example. Let's bring it up over here. And I'm just going to switch the order of our circle and our hexagon. I want you to be really confident and know that it does not matter. If we switch the order, I can still cross out. Whoops, once again, I have to change my color here. So once again, I'm just going to cross out the top and the bottom. So I'm crossing out 1 blue hexagon on the top and 1 green circle on the top and bottom. Okay, and my answer is still 1. So given this, let's look at a slightly more complicated problem, but it still has the same simple principle. let's say that I have a whole medley of things. Let's just say I have a red square and then a gold star, and maybe I have another gold star, and then maybe I have another red square, and then let's say that I have a blue hexagon, and let's put that all divided by or all over another medley of things. So let's say I have a blue hexagon and a red square, and then another red square, and then a yellow star, gold star, and another gold star. So what we're going to do is we are going to start crossing out. And so again, let me just change my color here. So we're going to start crossing these out. So I need to cross out one thing at a time on the top and bottom. I see that I have a red square here and a red square here. So let me just cross these out. And so these are gone, right? We can just pretend those are not even there anymore. And, oh, I see a gold star and a gold star. So I'm actually going to do this one here because I see I have another one that I can cross out here. And, oh, I've got another red square and a red square. And now I can cross out my blue hexagons, top and bottom. And so we have just taken this really complicated and nonsensical, in this case, problem and said, oh, great. Okay, all of that is just equal to 1. So hopefully you're following me so far, because now we're going to try to combine both of these ideas to see something really cool that we can do. So I'm going to just tell you that this blue hexagon is equal to 2 gold stars. Okay, don't ask me how or why. Let's just pretend that this is true. I'm telling you it's true. One blue hexagon equals 2 gold stars. So what I'm going to do right now is set up another dividing problem, and I want to see if we can do something with it. First, let me just erase some of this that we've got here to make a little bit more space. So let's take our, let's say that we have a blue hexagon, and I want to divide that by, let's say I want to divide it by 2 gold stars. So what I can do is I can say, well, I know that I have this equality here, so I'm pretty sure that I can actually do something with this. So we're going to do, first, let me just make sure we're all on the same page. If I was to say, I'm going to take this blue hexagon divided by 2 stars, and I'm going to multiply all of that by 1. So what would that give me? If you were paying attention, you could tell me that, well, it's just going to be equal to itself. That's the rule. When you multiply something by 1, it's just equal to itself. But the other thing that we know is I can take something, divide it by itself, and that equals 1, right? And here I've just told you that this blue hexagon equals these 2 gold stars, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, okay, let's say I want to have 2 gold stars, and I'm going to divide both of those gold stars by a blue hexagon. And I want to see what that equals. So what we know is that we've told us, oh, I'm sorry, I told you at the beginning, the blue hexagon equals 2 gold stars. And so it is really easy for me to say, like, okay, perfect. Well, in that case, then these gold stars are equal to this blue hexagon. And if I just traded out this blue hexagon for 2 gold stars, because I can, because it's allowed, then it's easy to see that we end up with just the number 1. And I'm going to prove that to you in one moment. So let's say that I want to cross these out. So I'm going to cross this out and cross this out. And yep, sure enough, we're left. We cancel the stars. We're just left with the number 1. So why did I do this weird roundabout thing? I want to show you that it is allowed to use what is called these conversion factors to make math a lot easier for us. So bear with me for one moment because I'm about to bring this all together. So now let's look at this problem again, and let's see if we can make this a little bit easier to understand. So let's take this, and I'm going to just put it here in the center for a second because this is our big moment. I'm going to delete this for a moment, and I'm going to exchange this number 1 for a conversion factor. Now, my goal right now is to make this easier because I don't really know what this means. I don't know what 1 blue hexagon divided by 2 stars means. It's confusing to me, and I don't want to see it anymore. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, I know that 2 stars divided by a hexagon equals 1. We just showed that in the previous step. So I'm going to get rid of this 1 and replace it with 2 stars divided by 1 hexagon. And now what I want you to see is that when we have a fraction multiplied by another fraction, there's no addition here, it's just multiplication. We can actually make them all into one big fraction. So what you can do is you can say like, oh, that's the same thing as just making this one big line and having everything be part of the same fraction. And now let's just scooch everything closer together so we can see how easy this is. So now I'm going to use my my technique of just dividing by itself and say like, well, I can, oops, I do that every time. I can say, well, I'm going to use these, I'm going to just cancel these out. I'm just going to cross these out because they're on the top and the bottom, and I can cross these out, and I can cross these out. And so this whole thing is just equal to 1. Okay? And here then we can say, oh, this blue hexagon divided by 2 stars is equal to 1. That kind of makes sense because we set it equal to itself. We said like, no, these things are equal to each other. Okay, so let's do more in the next video.